Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the ImmortalCast. Today we have with us Zon, a day one monk, and the reason why I'm bringing him here is because I will be changing to monk and maybe he has some things to say to me. So today we're gonna go through the main topic of the state of monk in Diablo Immortal. We're gonna speak about the PvE and PvP meta. We're gonna also go to see if he's a free-to-play class or not, this best stats, and also, it's going to be fun to see if Monk fits into the guild activities. And one of my personal preference, we're going to go through the story of Monk since day one, how he has evolved as a class, because we know he used to be very good and now is, so-so. So Zon, go for it.
Hello, my name is Zonshini, short for Zon. I have been doing YouTube videos since day one and I have been almost only played Monk. And I'm here to try to teach something about Monk and talk about what Indez already said. So let's just get straight into it.
Hey, I'm sure like you're gonna do perfectly fine. I'm also excited to know what you're gonna say. For me, I'm a bit nervous with this class change. I don't know if you know, but I lost a bet in my birthday stream to Abu. I had to, throw a balloon. I failed to throw the balloon, and in exchange, I have to play Monk for at least 1 week. So I'm a bit worried because I've been a barb for all this time, right? And I'm curious. So how is the state of Monk for you right now? Like, do you feel like it's good? Do you feel it's not?
I do feel it's good. It could be better, of course, but I think it's still pretty good. In PvE, I think it's especially still a really, really good and valid option. In PvP, it's still good, but it needs a lot more effort compared to the other classes.
I see what he's saying. I feel like in general, like most classes, they do pretty decently well in PvE, even though like we have like things like Crusader, which like they obliterate every class in the game. It's not like PvE is like too hard, right? Like we can literally just go and kill everything. But when it comes to PvP, I that's where I see like the most struggles when it comes to Monk. What is like for you the state of Monk like in PvP? Like what is the meta right now? What are like people trying to go and like take the Monk class out of like what people say that is like the F tier?
Yeah, for PvP, I feel like I have builds that almost no one uses, and one reason might be because those builds are not that good for mobile phone. I tried them with the mobile phone, and I just can't do it personally.
Yeah.
There's no way I can play the same builds with mobile phone. But with PC, I still do really, really well inside PvP environment. But of course, if we go in the highest of the highest, there are better classes to play. But I can still be in legend lobbies and do really, really well.
So what is like your favorite build? What is your favorite build right now?
My favorite build is the Hadouken build, which is up. I already have upgraded version of the Hadouken build, which now we have Wave of Light in the Hadouken build instead of the Flying Kick, and it's just Mystic Strike, Wave Strike, Shield of Zen. Now we got the new Calefaction, which I think made Monk a lot more viable in PvP. So that is my favorite build to use.
Okay, so I don't understand anything about Monk. I played Monk for like 4 days, and then I rolled again. Because my main concern with Monk was the animations. They were like always very slow. I think they fixed that like in some recent patches. But for example, I think it was like Fist of Thunder, like when you like do this small dash teleport to the mobs. Sometimes I was like farming in open world, and I used to, instead of like going to the next pack, I used to get teleport like to the last pack I was. So there was like a weird bug that happened. So I don't know like the spells. I don't know like the answers. So you have to speak to me when it comes like to Monk, like as a baby almost, and explain like what is even like the Hadouken, like what does it do, what is like the concept, like is a DPS build, is it like a tank build, a one-shot build, like what is like the kind of the play style?
It's more of an assassin style, so you go in, you burst, and you get out basically. You have invisibility in it, but how it mainly works is that you try to get like behind the backlines, and then you can just instantly delete like demon hunters, wizards, and necromancers too.
Mhm.
And you kind of try to avoid other melee classes because, well, there's higher damage reductions
Yeah.
on melee classes, and it's easier when you get to the backline because there are less like AoE CCs around over there, and you just need to be super quick with everything you do, which makes it also really hard to play with a mobile.
Mm.
But basically you get in there and then you get out, and like you can get out by going like more behind of them because I'm using the 40% movement speed increase and we have a lot of dashes with the monk, so you can get away there if you cannot get back to your like teammates, and then you can do like another assassin run. You can kind of brawl with the melee classes, but it's more like you go in and then you get out and you wait like little cooldowns, or you play around the enemy's cooldowns, because if Barbarian has Undying Rage, there's no point to go in there, or Crusader has the damage immunity, there's no point going in there, or Tempest has CC immunity, there's no point to go in there. So you have to like play around those, and that's why I think Monk needs to have the movement speed or it doesn't work as well.
Yeah. Is it that the build that the kind of like kicks you in the air or something like that?
No, it's not that build, because I would absolutely love that build, but the problem is the chest piece is the piece that gives us the 40% movement speed, and we need to sacrifice that piece with that build. If we could get the movement speed with that build, I would absolutely love that build, but it's so hard to like dodge skills and play around other classes cooldowns and get in quickly if you don't have that movement speed, and the playstyle is going to be completely different after that.
Because, for example, you know, I'm a bard, right? At least for the remaining time until I change. And there are like these BGs that, man, I see like monks, like they try so hard, man. They are like trying, like they put me in the air. They go again, and it's just like. And my HP is like doesn't do a lot of damage. That's what that's one of my main things. Like because they are not like weak monks, but I feel like the monk class, at least versus barbarian, it doesn't do like a lot of damage. And then by the time they are done with that thing, you know, like with all those kicks and push, you know, because at the same time you are taking damage off like my Berg Breaker. You're taking damage from my dots, so it feels like he's doing damage. I'm in the air, but he's gonna at the end of the day, he's gonna have like almost the same HP as me, and then I can just kill him. Like or he's gonna like run away, like you said. Like he comes, he does all those kicks, and then he runs away. But you already said like that's not your build. Your build is more like what? It's like I go, I clap the guy, and I get out, right? Like it's like a one-shot build.
Yeah, basically. And you have range too. So because Mystic Strike has pretty good dash range.
Okay.
So basically, if you can get in with the Fist of Thunder and then you dash through the Barbarian, now you're out of the AoE range, and then you use the Wave of Light to knock the Barbarian. Then you can use Wave Strike again to knock it again. Then you can use again Mystic Strike, and then you use Wave of Light again, and then you can kind of like either run away or you can use Mystic Strike to get away. And usually you want to also use one more Wave Strike to knock the Barbarian once again. And because you have the 40% movement speed, you can just walk away, and you have that 40% movement speed basically 100% up.
So what you're saying is like if I go monk, I will actually have to play the game. I will actually have to press buttons to kill people, right? I cannot just sit on the idol and kill everyone.
Compared to Barbarian, yes. Yes.
No, I can sense that. You know, like you can sense like the closest of reference is because I also gonna you know hit on this point because Monk, there is this thing that people said that Blizzard lost hope in Monk, that to a point that they created the Water Monk, right? Tempest. So I kind of want to know what is your opinion about that topic, because it's like the similarities are there, right? Like they are both like ninjas, you know, in a way. What do you think about all these, you know, meme in a way, the Water Monk, and how would you think? Did you ever try Tempest also to compare with Monk? I literally, as a Monk player, please tell me how you feel and how you felt when you played Tempest, and you know, like what are the benefits and things that you wish, you know, Monk had and he doesn't.
I didn't play Tempest that long, but for me, there's a lot of similarities. But there are also a lot of things that I miss about Monk, mainly about the Hadouken Monk, how it works and how it plays out. I feel like with Tempest, it's more like you smash buttons, like you quickly use everything, and then you just hold your basic attack to move around and still hit the enemies.
The bananas, man. Now is the new trend.
Yeah.
The bananas everywhere.
Yeah. But with a Monk, it's like it's a bit different because we mostly use the abilities, like, and we need to think about how we use the abilities. Of course, with the Tempest, you also need to think about a little bit how we use it. But what I've seen when I play against Tempest, it feels like they just use rapidly all the skills without that much thought in it. Like compared with a Monk, you have to hit your abilities, and after you get the one knock, then you can do the combo and then you leave.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Tempest, it's just the one dash. I don't remember the name, but one dash where you have the immunity and it stuns
flowing
you
strike.
too. You
Flowing
use
strike.
that, yeah, flowing strike. You use the flowing strike, and when you do get a hit with that, you just hold your primary attack button basically. Or at least I felt like most of the combos with the Tempest was just using flowing strike, and then you hold your primary attack button. And if you drop your shield drops, you use breaker, was it, to get a shield, and when you're out of CC immunity or you get CC'd, you use flowing strike. And that's also, I don't like the when you have like assassin style, I don't like that if you get CC'd, you can just press one button, dash away, CC enemy, and get CC immunity. But
yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's everyone's opinion that plays PvP, right? Because right now the conversation is all focused on how OP is Barb, and it feels like everyone forgot how broken Tempest is. You know, like, I'm not saying like Barb is not OP or is not, like, they are both OP. You know, like, they are incredibly strong, because problem with Barb right now is that the Ota, the armor of the Asians, they does like insane damage in PvP to a point that it just one shots people. And
if I can quickly say, in my opinion, like, Barb is fine. The only thing I don't like Barb is the debuff thing, because at least as a Monk player, because everything revolves around my buffs, my movement speed buff. Mystic Strike gives my second second ability that I'm gonna use 57% more damage. So if Barb can just take all of those away, my 35% damage reduction, my knockback immunity, like, I'm just a dead weight at that point. So I think the debuff is too much, because like if the Barb doesn't have debuff, I can easily play around the Barb. That's not problem. I'm not going to like instantly kill the Barb, but I can play around the Barb. But when they have the debuffs, I'm just like, I do my things, and then I suddenly can't do anything because I don't have any buffs going on anymore. I can get knocked. I can't have the movement speed anymore. I don't have the damage reduction. I just find myself getting CC'd and just getting blown away.
Yeah, because now that you spoke about that, I think you just literally answered the question or whatever I was saying previously, that it feels like they engage on me, and the first thing I do is using the demoralizing shout, which is like the Spartusk, the thing you're saying, like, it removes listen, I know it's broken in a 100%. Okay, like, they increase the cooldown, but it's still like decently good, like the cooldown, because first it pulls everyone to the same spot. So imagine like you have a group around you, it pulls everyone to the same spot. Then it stuns, removes all the benefits effects from skills, and then pretty much, you know, like, you're just safe. You're so much safer than you used to be, because Monk engages on me immediately. I use Spartusk, and now I understand why they don't do a lot of damage, because probably I'm just like stripping all the like the damage buffs and the shields and all those things. So whenever they are trying to do the burst, like, the burst is just not happening. Like, is way less effective than if they actually came with like maybe a lot of like the 35% more damage. It's a lot, you know.
It's that 35% damage reduction, and Mystic Strike gives one ability 57% damage increase.
Oh, 57. Oh, that's But they must be like strifed maybe in PvP, no?
It's not strifed because it's a skill. So skills are not strifed, so it gives 57% damage increase to next ability. But it's like only one. If you ever played like League of Legends, you use Triforce. If you use ability, your next primary attack
the Shin effect, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But it's not for primary attacks; it's for skills.
Yeah.
And because we have 3 charges on Mystic Strike, that's why the Hadouken build works. Because every time you use a damaging ability, you want to use Mystic Strike before, so you get the 57% damage increase, which increases the damage quite a lot, to be honest.
Oh, so it's like skill, Mystic Strike, skill, Mystic Strike, skill, Mystic Strike. Like something like that, right? Like
yeah. So you start with the Mystic Strike and then you use the skill. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, the opposite. I made confusion. Yeah, that's interesting. You know what? Like this conversation is actually, maybe I'm saying that I'm getting excited to play Monk, and maybe I'm gonna cry in BGs next time I'm go, because first I'm gonna have to get used to the play style. But you know, like Barbarian for me, it is like the best free to play class. You know. Just because like the Undying Rage is like so good when you're like I'm only 900 resonance, so I always felt like DPS classes, they need to have a bit of like high reso, you know, like otherwise I just rather go tank. And I played like with the Crusader once. I feel like it was pretty boring to play with. I didn't like too much like the play style, and then Barb just like resonated more with me. But I'm having like that urge, you know, like to play something else, you know, like because this game is the one of the best features of the game is the possibility of exchanging classes like from every few days, you know, like of course like we can talk about how easy to change the class, but it's not like actually that easy to transfer your gear and all your sets and all the things that, you know, like I have on my Barb. I have like 5 sets, you know, I have like all these gear, like it's pretty like mid-max for Barb. So I'm a bit like, man, do I have to do it this again, going to Monk, you know, because every build required certain like Terror Rift magical attributes. And you know, I know like there is these classic changes that you know, you get like the a new ability for the new class whenever you change. But I don't know if, like, for example, what was like the skill that you guys use a lot in Terror Rift for PvP, especially?
Personally, only thing I use is the Terror Rift item that gives you critical hit damage if you hit an enemy with Wave of Light inside 3-yard radius. And well, it's kind of important. I only have 2 pieces now, so that's 50% critical hit damage increase. If you have 4 pieces, it's 100% critical hit damage increase. The other ones I haven't played around a lot, and I feel like they are not that great. There is the Shield of Zen shield increase, but the shield is anyway so low. And I just feel like the Calefaction is just that much better right now compared to the shield version, because everything does so much damage, you lose the shield almost instantly, and you basically then lose every benefits out of the shield.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's gonna be a lot of work for like set items. It doesn't just Vitus, Montebanks, Gloom Goods. I think those are the 3 best
my God,
ones you can use.
You just remember, I have to farm the glooms, right? Oh no! Don't.
If you want to play the Hadouken, you have to farm that.
Oh my
Yes.
God! I forgot about that. I only play 4 pieces Grace. Oh my God!
Yeah, but honestly, like you can just exchange them. To be honest, I've played a lot of PvP with like kind of bad set pieces, just
and still
to
works?
have the right set pieces, and yeah, it still works. So
okay.
To be completely honest,
I'm
it's
try.
fine to play with not min-maxed set items. I usually don't play because I don't farm that much. I don't usually have min-maxed set pieces. So
in PvP we already talked about the Hadouken, which is like the one-shot build, if I understood right. Then we have the Flying Strike, Flying Dragon. What is like Flying Kick? That one that puts you like there.
It's Flying Dragon, yeah.
Okay. Then there is a famous one that we are still not speaking, and the one that actually you use for to farm in open world, right? Like, but in PvP, I also see some helicopter, you know, like they go wild, they go the helicopter, you know, like. And what do you think about that build? Did you try it?
I tried it. It's like, I feel like if you are high resonance and you have everything on damage, it can work. But honestly, like compared that to Hadouken, at least in my play style and for my opinion, I just don't think that has the value to bring a lot on the table compared to like, let's just take Barb for example. Barb does the same thing but just better. So it works. Sure, but I think there are better builds to use, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. So I remember watching like this stream of Abu, and he was trying this build. And one of the things that I noticed, it was like super annoying is helicopter monk to be in the idle, because in the idle is the center of CC, right? You're gonna have the Spartusk from like the Barb. You're gonna have like the wizard things. You're gonna have like the flowing strike stuns. You got like everything that is stun in CC is around the idle. We know that. So oh my god, someone literally just followed me on Twitch and literally scared me the shit out of me. Anyways, for me it was literally like super annoying to see him play, because every time he was going like, because that's like a channeling effect, right? Or something like that. He used to get CC'd all the time, and I just realized that, man, that spec, if he has like some immunity to CC, like while you're doing the channeling, you actually cannot like get CC. That will be like maybe that specific spec will go from like B tier to probably S tier for Monk, you know?
Yeah, I think that if you use the channel and you will get full CC immunity, I think that will be broken. It just will be too broken, because you have channel bar and you can use it whenever you want. So I don't think that's gonna happen. I hope that's not gonna happen. You can use the shield version of the Shield of Zen to get that immunity, but again, because the shield is so small, it just
appears,
gets ripped out instantly. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, okay, I have like a controversial take. I don't know if it's like controversial, but I feel like sometimes it is fine to break the game. You know, I feel like right now it is completely fine that Ota is broken, you know, and that people are having fun with Ota. But I'm also a fan whenever after, okay, it's like, kid, you had fun. Now I'm going to remove the toy. You know, you had your playtime. Now we're going to remove, and now we're going to give the toy to someone else. Okay. So I feel like that's kind of healthy in terms of games, because I feel like if games sometimes are not meant to be like broken, like when, you know how exciting it is, like, and it was like for me to figure out like this Ota build, the one-shot mechanic, like with especially with this very old chests from like hell difficulty that nobody uses, that increases like the damage of like 80%. Then with this with the Stonefall more 20%, like all these multipliers together with the flicker tone made like this huge blast all of a sudden. And I feel like things like that, whenever they happen in a game, they I'm not saying that they are healthy for the game, like, because, you know, it's like one class is going to be superior to the other, but for a short period of time, like maybe 1 or 2 months, it is fine. Like literally just let people have some fun, you know, like for me, if like next patch you say to me, hey, Monk will have immunity to CC on this channeling ability, and now it's gonna be a helicopter that is like impossible to stop. You know, it's gonna be like, it's not gonna be a helicopter. It's gonna be like a train wreck. You know, like it's just gonna go as a train, and everything that it passes by is gonna kill. I think that'll be fun.
My opinion about that is like it's okay if some classes at some points are like better, but if it's so broken that it takes the fun out of everybody else, then I think we have kind of like big problem there.
Okay, do you
because
think
there's
Ota
no point
is
playing anything else?
Do you think Ota is that level of broken?
Well, at least from Monk experience, because whenever I do something, I lose everything. So like I just lose every single counterplay I can have against the Barb. So like it rips out my fun against them. But like I don't know if it's that level broken. But
your problem is not the Ota, the hammer. For you, the problem is the Spartusk helmet, the helmet that dispels everything, right?
Yeah, my problem is not the damage. I'm fine. Like if I fail and I get CC'd and everything, I'm gonna just get obliterated.
You just
fine,
get frustrated that everything dispels from you, right?
Yeah, because then I lose my ability to play the game basically, and that's also the reason why I didn't like the Starfire at all. Because someone hits you, then like some dot effect comes on you, and then you get CC'd, and then they're like, hey, he got CC'd. And then he can keep CCing me, and there's like zero counterplays to that. And he didn't kind of like use abilities and skills and played well against me to like trigger that thing. So that's also why I don't like the Starfire myself. But of course, now we have the Calefaction with the Knock immunity, which basically just removes Starfire Knock. So I'm fine with the Starfire now.
Okay, we are speaking about like these builds, which they are. Monk is an aggressive class, like his main role, it is to play in the backline. Personally, I'm a player that I like to play more like defensively. And that's why Barb as a whole fits my playstyle, is because I used to play Demon Hunter and I used to play Necromancer also in BGs. And always felt like, man, these barbs are so useless. Like nobody's in the fucking idol. And that like literally pissed me off to a point that I say, okay, I'm gonna do a barb. Like I'm gonna play barb because I always feel like as a barb or a crusader, maybe like crusader not like right now, but what I'm saying, like in terms of a role, imagine like the roles that exist inside the BGs, right? We have like the back line, we have the idle guy, like the tanks, and then we have the front line, which is like Tempest, Necromancer, Monk, Blood Knight, like these classes.
Yeah.
So for me, I always felt like if I'm the one that is responsible from like pushing the idol, I'm in control of the game. Or my impact will be higher than if I'm playing, for example, Tempest, but I'm like low resonance, so probably I'm not gonna get as many kills. I never tried, okay? Just to be honest, I never tried like Tempest in PvP. So I actually don't know, but I always felt that. I always felt like, okay, maybe while I'm like still like not as strong, a more defensive play style will fit me. And my question to you is there any spec that I can use in Monk that is a bit more like supportive, like that I can play like around the idol, not tank inside the idol, that I know, but you know what I'm trying to
say? You're late.
I'm late?
Say, because there was a tank Monk build, but they reduced the inner sanctuary's cooldown or increased the cooldown inside the beaches. And you could have the 50% damage reduction basically all the time inside there, or you could use the dome. The dome build, that was it wasn't my favorite, but the dome build was absolutely amazing. You just drop a big inner sanctuary. It slowed everybody. It did tick damage all the time.
It's like the giant bell, right? Is it okay.
The blue one.
Oh, okay.
And you couldn't dash inside that. So it renders everything slower and they cannot dash inside that. And you could, if you maxed out the cooldown reduction and the time it is on, you could have like 1 to 2 seconds and have 2 of those domes up at the same time. So you just put that like little bit over the idol. And you supported a lot with just one well-placed inner sanctuary. It was amazing support Monk build.
Yeah.
Back in the days, but now because the inner sanctuary cooldown is higher, it's not working anymore as good as it did.
What is like that build or instance? I'm not sure. I think it's Monk. That there is like this ring. They put like a ring on the that you cannot even cross the ring.
That's Crusader, I think.
Oh, okay, that's Crusader. Okay,
it has those 4 shields and stuff.
Yeah, there's like that's very annoying. Like I know that whoever is playing that is probably a noob, but sometimes he actually works. Like
I mean, if that's well placed, it's really good. But yeah, that's Crusader.
Yeah, okay. I thought Monk
it was only has it's a stun effect, but you can cross it. You just get stunned for for 2 seconds or 1 second. I don't remember exactly, but
pretty much what you're saying is like I gonna have to play DPS Monk most probably, right?
I mean, you can try stuff out. We do have the damage reduction on the Calefaction now, and you can have that up 100% of the time. So if you try to find something, there might be something. I haven't done that much testing with the new Calefaction, so I don't know. There might be some like tank version where you can use CC abilities and support and kind of be inside the idol. But
I'll tell you exactly why. Right now, I'm at 4,700 rating, okay? I not been playing a lot. I actually just do like a few BGs, like 3 BGs per day for the shadow rank. But it's just like too high, okay? Too high in the sense that I only am matched with the whales, and that's why I'm saying like if I go play like DPS, try to kill the backline. Against Wales, I'm probably not gonna do as well the same way as on the Barbarian. I always say to people that, if you're like lower resonance, I mean like maybe less than 4,000, 3,000 resonance, if you're below that, your Ota build, your DPS build as a Barb, you're not gonna do a lot of damage in the BGs, because for Ota you need to have like really high secondaries. So otherwise, like, you're not gonna even break the shield of like these 10, 11, 12k resonance monks, like you literally don't even break the shield. It's like it is that low. So the way I play it is like you said, like I go a more supportive Barb, and I use like my chains to get people out of the idol, to keep trying to push the idol. I use like the Spartusk, the dispel helmet that you hate, so I'm literally like a dispel bot. Okay, that's the best role. I'm a dispel bot. I wait for like my carries, like the Tempest and the Necromancers, all these classes that do a lot of damage. They do all the damage in their Barbarian inside the idol. And I play like this very cheesy sometimes playstyle, which is like, it's smart, but it's a bit cheesy. Feels a bit cheesy because I wait for them to do the damage whenever the whale, because I know them by now, because I inspected them. I know like more or less their names and their resonance. I go, and when the Undying Rage is about to proc, I go there, I Spartusk, and I get out. So
yeah,
I have to play smartly. It's the only way that as a free to play you can even be impactful. I'm not gonna be competitive. I'm just gonna try to be as impactful as I can. So well, let's see how it does. I'm excited to try Monk. In PvP, I already got a bit of an overview what is like the metas right now. So let's now talk a bit about PvE. What are like the meta builds right now, more or less, like the ones that I could also be using? Because again, like this podcast is mainly for me. It's not for anyone is listening. It's like literally I'm learning. Okay, so
yeah.
So
you meet the best PvE builds.
Yeah, like for like dungeon, if it's like dungeon and raids, open world, Vanguard.
Well, to be completely honest, I haven't, like, it's been a while, so I don't really have the meta dungeon things yet, or like single target DPSs. I only have the open world. That's mostly what I do. I do the abysses, and well, I use the same build in dungeons, and it works pretty well. But I reckon there are better ones. We used to use like damage buffs as a monk, and then we use the mystic allies, and we buff them, and then we just use primary attacks. Pretty cool
I like
damage,
the build. That was the build that I tried once.
Yeah, but the most important part for that is just like you buff everybody inside the inner sanctuary. You have the tools on, so everybody get the attack speed going on, and you just buff everybody and get more damage. That's what I used to use. But the open world channeling build, if you have Vitus with the channeling, so you get attack speed increase with the helicopter channel thing, you get the movement speed. It for some reason it increases your movement speed when you get attack speed with the channeling, and then you have some movement speed, so you go faster than the 40% movements.
Do you use seeds?
40%.
So, sorry, because you're talking about channeling, and it's reminding me of the Strife. Do you use like with seeds the set item, like with 4 pieces seeds?
I use 4 pieces Vitus because I need the attack speed to be a bit faster.
And the other one?
And the other one, it can be Gloomguids, Grace, and I use them only just to get the critical hit chance up.
Oh, okay.
But you can use Grace, you can use Augments too there.
So it's like there's no like better. But I was thinking like, okay, if I'm gonna go as a helicopter build, and I do all the channeling, and how long is the channeling? It's still a bit, right? Like it's
you need the offhand.
Okay.
When you move, you get the channeling back. Which with Vitus, of course, the channeling goes faster, but you also move faster, so you get more like the channeling back. And it's not 100% uptime, but it's really close there. So if you pair it up with a palm, so you use a dash, which also moves you and gives you more channeling back, you can basically have it up all the time, which is pretty nice. But you definitely are going to need the offhand that it increases the or
It's like the build
regenerates
enabler, right?
1.6.
That often enables all the all the build, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't work without it because you have way too much off time then. And I also slap on Trickshot Gem that reduces the consume rate of channeling skill by 24%.
So I'm gonna take us a bit because I'm thinking now about the mystical eyes, because I feel that for me was my favorite, or if not one of my favorite abilities in Monk. I just thought it was cool, like to have like those those allies like going with you. But I felt like I used like this build from Orat, but I was lacking a lot of summon damage, and that was like super frustrating, because like you have to go like into a very niche build that only works for that and Necromancer and nothing else, so
you definitely need to get the family stats to get the summon damage. You basically want to get some set items with summon damage, or legendary items with summon damage, and then you also kind of want to have some gems to get a little bit more, and all
like
of those,
the followers, blah blah blah, right?
yeah, and when you have everything,
then you do damage.
Multiplicative 10 you do damage. And even then, like if you use the Mystic Allies in open world, they kind of lag behind, so it's just slower. But inside the dungeon or like raids, it does well because the burst damage is really high.
Yeah.
But again, then you need to have everything with that. And
I just got frustrated, like I felt like, okay, because from my perspective, like as a free-to-play player, I don't have the luxury, like to change all my reforgers to put like the damage.
I mean, like personally, I'm thinking about doing the PvE reforges because now we have two sets, which is amazing that we can have PvP and PvE.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I'm not going to use my plat, but when I get like the PvP reforges, so random reforges, I'm going to try to get summon damage on every single piece to make them a little bit more viable. But that's gonna take a time because obviously the seasons are quite long. So
it takes a while. But okay, I want to before we move on from this topic, I want to get your take on this thing, because here's what I think that the role of Monk should be in this game. Because I know like you're a super DPS aggro aggressive player, and that's how you like to play the Monk. But for me, because maybe I'm a bit more biased to the more supportive defensive style, but when I see a Monk, I feel like, man, this is a class that could be so unique. Because the front line is already like pretty packed. Like you have Tempest that, you didn't answer, but you admit that Tempest is better than Monk, right? Like at the current stage, it's stronger. Stronger.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You know? We can agree on that, right? Like, but I feel like Monk, imagine this situation. Imagine you get like the Summons Blood Knights build that was like very popular like recently. Like you go like these dot builds, and then you just drop your summons. So I had this idea that okay, what if instead we keep like giving like a lot of damage to Monk to try to compete with Tempest? What if we make it like a bit more unique? What if we give like a buff, an aura that shields our allies? Because I think from a perspective as a bard inside the idol, Crusader right now is my worst enemy, because if he bubbles me, my Berg Breaker doesn't do damage. Okay, like I don't take damage, so my Berg Breaker doesn't proc, because it procs when you receive damage. So I do like literally less 80% of the damage. But I was imagining, okay, what if Monk gives me like a buff with a small shield, but it gives me or not even a shield, just give me a buff that for 6 seconds I receive less 30% damage. Me, the Monk, and everyone around, right? Like the party, like if you're near the you receive like less 30% damage. Not only that,
I mean, that's like that would be easily attainable by if we just make the inner sanctuary follow us, but then again the cooldown is increased, so it still wouldn't work that well because the cooldown is too much. But yeah, I think like if we go back to the older Diablo games, I feel like Monk is more like support class, and you have like all these mystic allies around you that do stuff for you, and you buff everybody around you.
So cool.
In my opinion, in my opinion, Monk should lean more towards to the support side. Of course, I personally like the assassin style a lot more. But like, if we think about what Monk is, it's more
fantasy.
I think it's
like the fantasy, the role.
It's more like definitely like melee heavy support class.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of neat things that could be done with the Monk. Like I don't know what to do. I'm not a game designer and all of that, but I think it could fit like a lot more niche role that would be a lot better for a Monk and held to the Monk class.
Yeah, because I agree, like you should still have like one spec that you can go like full bazooka mode, you know, and one shot everyone, or you know, like I go in and maybe I don't come out, you know. That's fine. You have a one spec that is a backliner. I see that, for example, as the auto build. But then you should also have a spec a bit more defensive, because also you have like inside the player base, you have like different players that like to play different playstyles. But what I say is exactly what you were saying, that in Diablo 3, and if you go deeper into the fantasy, to like the class identity of the Monk, I see as someone like with the blessings in a, I don't know, like it just feels like it's someone is gonna be there that's probably gonna do some damage. But the main role it is, you know, is like this bruiser, like support damage, mystic allies. If they also proc like the grace set with the dots, I'm literally envisioning like a build that could be like so awesome to play with Monk. And I don't know if it exists. Probably doesn't exist. Otherwise, you guys will be playing. Right?
I mean, Mystic Allies could be so amazing if it weren't skill. It was just like you have Mystic Allies and then you just have Mystic Allies, just like in Diablo 3. I fantasized about that so long, because there will be so different builds that you could build around that.
Tell me something. Like, does the Mystic Allies are like permanent summon in Diablo 3? Because I didn't play Monk. I played Barbarian. Oh, so it's like the minions from Necromancer.
Yeah, you summon them and then they are around you.
Okay,
and you also have sets that you can have, like, was it 8 Mystic Allies around you? So it's kind of like Necromancer, but you just have the Mystic Ally, like it's the spirit world is helping you around there, which is, I really like that build a lot in Diablo 3, but yeah, and I wanted to recreate it here, but the problem is that you need to be pressing the Mystic Allies all the time, and you don't even have them all the time. And if you do everything to have them all the time, then it's just toes, and you don't get anything more, and it's just it's a lackluster after that.
Now you have the summons, but you don't do any damage, right? Or you don't have survivability or the mobility, or you just like sacrifice a lot. That's like, actually super cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was like permanent, because I also feel the same way whenever I played that Mystical Allies. I felt like while they are up, I was fine. When they were down, I was like literally like a dummy, you know, a target dummy inside the dungeon. So I agree. I feel like, maybe the developers could try to go a bit more back to the roots of like the classes and see that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that we already have a new monk in the game, you know, like we have the water monk. So let that one be like the aggressive one.
That's like the assassin. You already have the daggers and everything. That's like the identity is the assassin right there. So it would be nice that we started moving Monk more towards the roots, just because we have the assassin class right now, which used to be the Monk back in the days.
Yeah. And how cool it will be, like, if you have Monk bringing like something, a new buff, right, into the game, like something. I think that's what I think every class needs, something like some uniqueness, you know. And and Monk doesn't have that, you know. Like you go into dungeons and they are not a bad support, you know, like they are completely fine, but the main issue was never PvE, you know, like any class can do pretty decently. Also, we are like so strong now. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the stats nowadays are like too buffed up. Everyone does like tremendous damage. Like, I'm a barb and I'm destroying everything. Like, it doesn't make sense, you know. Like, even like I should not be doing that much damage as a barbarian in PvE. I'm not saying that I'm doing as much as a demon hunter or a fully fleshed DPS class, but man, the DPS I do is more than perfectly fine to clear everything. Is like,
Yeah.
just full speed. So I hope like in the future we can have like some tuning. But I completely agree that we should have always these two options in the classes. One more defensive and the other one a bit more offensive. But in certain classes, even for example, Demon Hunter, he has that. Strife, full burst, offensive, summons, defensive.
That's true. That's true.
You have sorcerer, battle guard mage, or whatever is like they just rush now. You saw like this new build that they have like these lightning. They literally just like dive into you. They go into the idol. They kill everyone. They pretty much it's like a kamikaze. Kamikaze wizard does a lot of damage.
That was some kind of that build was already back in the days too. That worked pretty well. I don't know if it's probably not the same build.
Yeah,
but we did have back in the days a battle mage build too, which was pretty cool to be honest.
So now is a bit back. Like some people are playing that. It actually does a lot of damage. And then you have like this more supportive build, which is like with those lightning bolts, that are super annoying to play against. You have like that the wind thing. So I feel like that's healthy for the class.
It's good to have options. Every time it's good to have options. I feel like Monk doesn't have a lot of options anymore. It used to have with the Inner Sanctuary, there were a lot more build variety with the Monk, but now I feel like it's just the Flying Dragon or my Hadouken build. There might be some other odd cases too. I did play around with the dot build a little bit, but it's basically the Hadouken build with just dots. Some other little variations there. I might do some video about it, but it's again, it's not that powerful, but it still works.
Yeah. So since you're talking about like back in the day, like in the past, let's talk a bit about the story of Monk, okay? Because I'll tell you, Monk is like that class that, bro, almost every guide, okay, maybe I am exaggerating, but a lot of guides that I do for Barb is like, yeah, Indez, playing Barb is really cool, because it's the best class, but when are you going to do a guide for Monk? This is literally what it goes on my mind. Like, that's how I hear that message, Why do you think there is like this... like yourself, I'm not saying that you were the troll, but you were like obviously a Monk lover. Like you probably played Monk since day one. Is probably the class that you like the most. Now is not that good. And how you feel? Like, tell me, give me like a timeline. Back in the day, when we started the game, and give me like all these phases that until like the present time, more or less.
I feel like Monk had just few phases. I think the best phase was when the Imprisoned Fist build was like a meta. That was like,
can you explain to me because explain to me because I'm only been playing for a few months. Like more or less, what was the playstyle?
We used the playstyle was basically the same as the Hadouken, but it was a lot slower. So you had iframes to jump in. Then you knock enemies up and CC them, knock them again, and you use primary attacks to finish them off.
Okay.
The damage was quite slow, but the damage was quite slow anyways with every single class back in the days. So that was my jam right in the books. It was amazing. You just go in and you can use the iframes if you see someone coming and just dodge abilities, and it was freaking amazing. And everything was a bit slower too, so I kind of enjoyed that. Then we got... Shimmerling build, which I personally didn't like that much, and I didn't like the attention that Monk got because everybody started playing Monk and say it's OP, while I still played the Imprisoned Fist build because I liked that build more. It was more mechanic. It was kind of broken because it just destroyed everything on your screen. So yeah, it wasn't fun times. But I still played the Imprisoned Fist build.
You said that... sorry for interrupt because I gotta jump in because I got really curious that you said that
then there was this Inner Sanctuary phase, the Dome phase. I think everybody knows when I say the Dome phase, when Monk just used the domes. It was nice, but I still preferred the Imprisoned phase. But the Dome phase was pretty good because then we had the support Monk going on, and while we had the Dome phase, we also kind of got the tank phase too, where there were just literally unkillable whale monks around, and then they nerfed the Inner Sanctuary, and well, I guess after that, Monk is just gone downhill.
You said that back in the day, everything was slow, right? Everything.
Yeah.
What do you
Or
mean by
slower.
that? What do you mean? Like the play
TTK
style?
was so much slower. You needed to have like 5 to 8 seconds to kill someone. Maybe Demon Hunters were a bit faster because Demon Hunters were the single target DPS. They were the single target DPS. They were fast to kill, but they didn't have CCs. They didn't have like anything else, so they had to play around other players. But when someone CC'd someone and the Demon Hunter came, you just got insta deleted.
Yeah.
But you could easily play against them because they didn't have as many options as other classes did, but they had the huge damage. And Wizards they didn't have so much damage, but they still had the CCs and everything. And the Beam Wizards were actually really good back in the days because everything was a bit slower. And even if you CC them, it wasn't a guaranteed kill like nowadays. If you CC someone, usually they drop down.
They just
of
die.
course, yeah.
Or it's just like Spartusk Ota and they're dead, you know?
Yeah. So like there was so much more like in play because everything was a bit slower. You get CC'd, you might get away from the CC and you could still play around. Nowadays, if you happen to get away from the CC, you just go back and heal.
Yeah.
There's no point staying in there. You're just gonna die. And because we had so much less AoE skills, like you had space to move around. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah. I feel like, for example, now, did you ever play World of Warcraft? Or
World
no?
of Warcraft?
Yeah. Did you ever play it?
Just a little bit, not enough to actually
Okay.
like know the metas or anything like that.
So I can just give you like an example. Like, for example, back in the World of Warcraft Classic, the beginning of the game, right? Everything was slower, right? That's why still nowadays people are still preferring to play the classic version than the modern version. And I feel like that's probably what it is happening. And it happens with a lot of like ARPGs, MMOs in general. Is like the game keeps evolving. And like I said to you previously,
it's the power creep.
Yeah, the power creep, right? Like I literally just said, like as a barb, I should not be doing as much damage in PvP or in PvE. Like it doesn't make sense. Like we are like so buffed up that makes like the game meaningless. And I feel like, for example, when they did like this reduction on the Paragon, I feel like they actually missed an opportunity to make us slightly weaker. And instead of like doing that, now we are this is just gonna keep getting worse. Like we're only gonna keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So maybe they're gonna strive even more in BGs. That's one thing. But instead of like slowing down, I feel like then they put a like Savior, right? So Savior is like
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's like a bandage, right? Because like it's like, we have a one shot. We have a problem that players they die very fast in PvP. Oh, okay, what should we do? Should we fix the damage and do like stat reduction in all the classes overall? No. That's a bad idea. What if we do a pet that has a skill that is extremely rare, but is gonna give you an extra life every 60 seconds? You know, it is so frustrating. I 100% agree with you because that you'll be so much more fun the same way if I go back like to World of Warcraft when things were slower, that you actually had duels. You know, you had duels with people. You could outplay people. In this game, I have like some people, they come to me and they say, oh my god, you're like you're so irate and this and that as a free to play. And I'm saying, for me, it is not a big deal. And I'm not like acting because I'm cocky or anything. It's just like, man, I played World of Warcraft. You know, like, you know what it was like, the complexity of that game in like arenas like 3v3, like the complexity of the PvP, the way you had to think the strategy is like probably like 100 times more complex than the PvP that we have in Diablo Immortal. So for me, like the PvP here is like you get killed or you kill or you get killed like very quickly. If I'm not a barb, I'm probably gonna be dead most of the times. I'm not gonna enjoy the game unless whenever I have the Savior or the Undying Rage, and that's just not fun. You know, like I don't know, like I just personally don't enjoy that. And it has nothing to do with the whale, the whales things, okay? Because I go like to Tower of War, or I go like to Conqueror, or I play these other modes, same shit happens, okay? I get there, and I just make like this build that is broken, and I'm one-shotting everything, okay? So I don't know. I feel like the play style of the game, the PvP, completely agree with you, should be like way slower to allow people to outplay. You know, like that. You know, like the feeling that you probably had before, that when you're like maybe like 10% HP and you like kick them in the air, and then you do like all these things, and then you kill them, and you survive like with 10% HP.
Yeah, I mean the coolest shit was when you have there like 1 versus 3 or something like that, and you can still outplay that situation. That was freaking amazing. But nowadays you do that, someone proc savior, and it's over. So
or someone
it
has
doesn't work like
chains,
that.
you know, the chains offered barb that, you know, like I also think like the chains are very powerful.
But we are running out of time, so
yeah,
we should start trying to finish this.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Maybe we'll do like in the future like a new episode about Monk. Maybe like after I play Monk, we do a part 2. What do you think about it?
Maybe.
Because then I'll have the experience. Then I'm gonna be like, I'm probably gonna be the monk here crying the shit out of Monk. You say, yo, Monk should have this, Monk should have that. So that could actually be cool. But speaking about free to play Monk, what do you think about, like, you think I'm gonna have like from 1 to 10? How do you think is gonna be the experience for me or any other player that starts playing the game as a monk?
I feel like in PvE it's high up there. It's really good in PvE. In my opinion, it's probably better than most of the classes. Of course, the Crusader and Barb that are really fast, and some are probably better in dungeons and raids. But like I think it's on top there. In PvP, a bit lower resonance. We don't have the support builds anymore that were really good with lower resonance. So yeah, it's going to go, let's say 5 to 7 depending on the skill level you are with the monk, because with it is kind of assassin class, and if you can't like finish anything off, then it's just not gonna be fun. But if with skills and abilities and with your skill, you still can eliminate people, then I guess I can put it on 7, because then you can do stuff. But it's definitely going to be 5 if you just cannot perform in there. And if the resonance is just too low to do anything, then
you just don't have the damage.
It's not gonna be fun. Yeah, then it's just not gonna be fun.
So man, are you saying to me that I'm gonna ruin my 72% win rate? Is that what you're saying?
Probably yeah, because with the barb you have the debuff, and if you do it on the right time, I think the debuff skill, because it debuffs everything. If it were only debuff, I think it will still be the best skill in the game, because many classes depends on all the buffs they have, and when they are gone and there's like one team fighting other team, like team fight, and just not 1 versus 1 or small scales. If you can debuff the whole enemy team, basically the other team just wins that fight, because they don't have everything going on that they.
I 100% agree with you.
Make the build.
You know, my opinion, I say about Spartusk, like the thing that you're saying, like the debuff thing, is that as long as they keep the dispel, they can make it like 20 seconds cooldown. I literally don't care. Like, it's still. But okay, I'll give you like very quickly the other side, okay? Because I see that as someone that plays against that, you feel like, man, that's just so OP, because it makes me like disables all my ability to one shot or to do all the damage, right? But I will tell you, as a barb, this was the play style before Spartusk, like the dispel helmets. It was you spawn, you run to the idol, and you die in the idol. Nothing else, you know? Because nothing that nobody can remove your undying rage. You don't have to think. You just literally go there like a meatball sack, and you sit there, and you're doing your job, okay? So you have like all these barbs with like 0-12, and they still are able to push the idol. Yeah. But now...
Personally, I think if you try to min-max that, you could like go in, and when your Undying Rage pops, you have some friends preferably around you, and when you are like halfway, or you have like 1/3 left, then you try to get out, heal, and go back. But yeah, it's basically still the same thing.
But now it's harder, because now we also have like new wizard instance, like they do like
it's really hard. It's to get
really
away.
Chaotic.
So many CCs and
it's
stuff.
Very hard. If you go in, it's very hard to go out.
Yeah, that's probably more when I played a lot more, like half a year back then. Then it felt like
because
more
that
you
was
could
like
push
literally
there and then get away, and yeah.
Yeah, that's like I call the meathead barbarian playstyle. Okay, like you don't have to think. Okay, but now barbarian, the best counter for barbarian, what it is, other barbarians. Okay, that's why it is. I'll promise to that, because doesn't matter if he's a whale and against a low resonance. If
it takes the undying rage off. Right?
Exactly. It
Yeah.
is, and that's why I say that for me personally, it is better for the game to have it. Okay, just for this reason, it creates a bit more complexity around the play style on the idol, the mind games between the barbarians. Okay, because you're like, okay, he has the Spartusk. Does he has the cooldown of the demoralizing shout? Okay, like, do I go in? Do I don't go out? Like, who has the cooldown? Who has the, you know? So when you have like two barbarians going against each other, there's like these mind games that is happening to who's gonna Spartusk each other first. Okay, that's literally how it is. So it created like a bit more complexity, which became a bit more interesting to play around the idol in that sense, in that specific regard. But besides that, the thing is like, this is a very specific thing to barb, if you're a barb, because the rest of the classes, they are like, fuck no, man, just remove these helmets, because Crusaders, they hate it because it removes the bubble. Monks removes the buffs. Everyone hates it except maybe barbs that play barb. They think for me is interesting that I don't have, because you know how frustrating it is, or annoying. Like, you just run into the idol and then there's like these three barbs like looking against each other, like, like without the enrage proc, and like looking at the, who's gonna die first, and then they die, like it was just not that interesting. And I feel like Spartusk made it like a bit more interesting. This is just like my take. So you're saying that free-to-play player PvE, it's good. It's still like a decent class to play. PvP, I'm gonna get fucked. Sounds good. Mid-maxing. Mid-maxing, you already spoke, like, probably one of the best sets, because there's a lot of dashes, is Gloom and Vitus.
Regarding or Montebanks.
Or Montebanks, yeah. Maybe I'm gonna use that one. Maybe I need it. What about gems? Is like any gem like in particular, or is like the generic DPS? Like,
I think it's the generic, like just using Bloodsocket Jade just for the movement speed. Like that's what you want.
Mm-hmm. And the rest just add like the damage, right? Do you use any defensive one? Do you use any defense?
I use Kirsling. I use
the
Kirsling,
blind one.
But
the blind one?
Yeah, it used to be super OP because like we didn't have so many CC immunities, and when you got caught in CC, you just, because, and it's 4 seconds. So if someone CC'd you and Kirsling pops, you're gonna get out of the CC before the blind ends and you can finish off the enemy. But now we have more CC immunities, so it's not that OP anymore. But like it was the go-to gem for me.
Can you give me like a quick rundown of like what it could be a more or less free-to-play player? Like, give me maximum 2 5-star gems and the rest. Can you do that like on the spot? Or is like,
I will say the Bloodsocket Jade for sure. That's like, but that's for every single class.
Rolling or Starfire? What do you think for the second one?
Well, I use rolling, but I mean, I'd say 50-50. We have more CC immunity, so Starfire is not that great anymore, but Starfire is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say 50-50.
And the rest, would you say for me to go with dots? Because I have a lot of dots. I play dot build in general with great set.
I do have Vipers and I do have Seeping, so those are good still.
Does sweeping works well in Monk? I mean, it's an extra dot, right?
It's okay. I have 5/5, so that's why I have it.
So you use because of the resonance mainly, right?
Yeah, it's 5/5, so I can't take it all.
Yeah, that's true. Did it drop or you bought it?
Dropped. It dropped.
Oh
I didn't bought
bounded
any
or
5/5.
unbounded? Bounded or unbounded? It was like a bound legendary crest or internal?
I don't remember. It was like I got Hovlers and Seeping like in the first month. I was super lucky with those.
You know what?
So,
I'm
yeah,
sure
I
like you
just
got
left
like
them
so excited that you just fucking keep that shit, like didn't even bother like checking the action
Yeah,
analysis.
no,
Just like
yeah, it's
I'm
just for resonance. But yeah, I do have Mother's Lament for the crit, and I do have Roiling for the crit because,
Mhm.
like I said, I like to use the Wave of Light heal, which gives 100% critical hit damage. So that's why I want to max out my
Ooh.
critical hits.
Oh,
So
so that's
I
why you
do a
do
little
like
more.
like this tap, right?
Yeah, I just do everything, and I hope I crit.
And you
And
know
if I
what?
do crit, I hit really, really hard.
You know what?
Like
Then.
in the video, I hit someone with 179k.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it can hit hard.
Damn. You're gonna then send me the link that I'm gonna put in the comment section for people to go check that build and
All right.
any build that you want. So people that are they are monks or
I
not.
have one PVE which is up to date, and I have one PvP which is up to date. I
Hey,
can send those two.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then we have here the stats. I think like the stat that was we already know fortitude. Do you go like fortitude, willpower, and strength, or fortitude, vitality, and strength?
I just go for the tool and willpower,
Okay,
and whatever else I get, I'm
you're
happy with it.
fine. You're happy with
I
it.
just try to max out my secondaries. My secondaries are really bad. I
Mhm.
have at the moment I have almost 4,000 armor penetration, which is a lot better than it used. It was 3.6 when I came back.
Now you get the
My
Oradin respect, right? Like you did that, or you didn't do that.
what?
The Oradin legacy of Oradrin. Oradrin, I think that's how you say. You know, like the legacy of Oradrin, like the thing that you go like for the chest for the keys below the city.
Oh, the abyss and those. Yeah. I'll do those.
Did you
I didn't
respect?
like the
But
hidden
did you
layers.
respect? You know that now in the recent update they respect. You can go there and reset the tree. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I have to check out. I have been so busy with my school right now,
Yeah.
so I haven't played a lot. So yeah, I'm
Yep.
bit off like for like 1.5 weeks. So
Yeah. So if you do that, probably you're gonna boost your armor penetration because do you have in mind?
you mean that? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I did that.
Oh,
That.
you
Yeah,
did
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah.
So you see,
I
like
did
this
that.
is my broken English. Okay, so you got to
Yeah.
experience my
No problem.
broken
No
English.
problem. Yeah, but yeah, I reset it. I had already pretty optimal, but I squeezed it just a tiny bit more.
Yeah. I did the same.
Almost nothing, but yeah.
I did
But yeah.
exactly the same. So, well, we already pretty much spoke about everything. The last topic is how useful is monks in guild activities. Okay.
Well, I gotta say, if you use the Hadouken and you try to just, you are good and you can finish off like the backlines, like demon hunters, wizards, and you have high resonance. You have to have, because if you think about cool stuff, you usually have high resonance players anyways there. And if you cannot be the assassin, it's not really that relevant. It used to be really good with the dome build, but now I will probably take something else than a monk in like really sweaty quilting. But it's like I said, you can still be competitive. It's still good, but like I said, you have to work a little bit more than other classes. But like it still works. You can still be really good and really make an impact. But yeah, you just have to work a
at the
little
end
bit
of the
more.
day, that's always the thing, right? We only have like certain slots, right? Do you want to take someone or a class, right, that can be pretty good, but it needs to be like a godly player, or you take like a extremely good class that you can have like a good to average player and they still perform almost the same, right? So that's like where like the tier lists usually they come into place.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like Barbarian and Tempest are still like the best classes. Doesn't mean that there is no spot for other one, but I mean I think there's spot for like the backline still, right? Like you have the backline with a wizard, which I feel like is really strong, and I feel like if you become a very skilled wizard, you can literally just have like massive impact in any place in PvP.
Even if you have low resonance, you can have really big impact with wizard for sure.
Yeah. Necromancer, also a lot of survivability, super annoying to play. So those classes again, like they still survive pretty well, but monk, but do you have do you have hope in me that maybe I can do something with the class? Do you think maybe I'll look at the answers and I can find out
Well,
something?
to be honest, if you play the Hadouken build, it will be really amazing to see you do well with it, because I'm pretty proud of the build, and I think like I created the first Hadouken build and I didn't see a lot of use on it, but personally I think it was the best Monk build. I tried a lot of different things. I tried builds that were recommended to me, but I always just went back with the Hadouken build. So if you do master the new Hadouken build, that would be amazing to see that you can still perform with it. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that I'll review. I'll play with that build. I'll do a review, and I'll tell you like if this works or not for free to play. I'm excited. I'm really excited. We should do this in the future after I had like this maybe traumatic experience of playing Monk for the second time, or maybe it's gonna be fun. Oh, who knows? I'm excited to go and give it a shot. It's been a while since we played Barb, so time for a change. Maybe not too long. Maybe I'll go back to Barb very soon. So, Zon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for your time. This was amazing. I'm excited to play the class you love. And any final words?
Thank you for having me. This was amazing conversation, and I really hope you are going to do well with the Monk.
Hey, and with this, as always, this is the secret call at the end of the podcast. If you're still here listening, say Zonk, not Zonk, Zon. Why did I say Zonk? Say Zon plus Indez equals Monk. If you type this and you actually understood what I said, you're a true legend, and put also the timestamp so I know that you are the true legends that actually watched this podcast until the end. So thank you so much, Zon, once again, and thanks to everyone that listened. And with this, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.